Well, for many whose lives were touched by Hurricane Sandy, it can be described as nothing short of a traumatic experience. And with so much seemingly taken away, how do you recover? How do you find the inner strength and resilience to push through the difficulties of life? Dr. Stephen Southwick is the co-author of Resilience, the Science of Mastering Life's Greatest Challenges. He's here to tell us how we can identify good and bad stress and get through both. Dr. Stephen Southwick, welcome to Context.
Thank you.
We know about good stress, but let's talk about bad stress. And you have discovered that those who can live with optimism do better, much better in bad stress. How do you develop optimism in bad stress?
Well, first of all, bad stress is stress that we tend not to be able to control. So as you said, there is stress that's actually very good for us, and that's stress that we can actually master. Optimism is a critical component of our dealing with stress because we have a vision of potential success. We see light at the end of the tunnel. Optimism allows us to come up with more creative solutions. It actually decreases our physiologic response to stress. And it's infectious. We like to be around optimistic people who feel that they can get the job done. Unfortunately, pessimism is also infectious, and that can be debilitating for a group.
Your research also found that knowing what's right or wrong is critical in a traumatic situation. Explain how we keep a grip on that.
You know, we were somewhat surprised at how important moral compass or ethical direction is with regard to resilience. If we know that we are doing what is right, particularly in difficult situations, we will be stronger, we will be able to defend this principle, and we will feel better about the outcome in the future, even if the outcome is tragic.
Okay, and adding to the moral compass, one of the 10 points you discovered in handling stress is that a belief in God makes a difference. A belief in God is one of the factors you tracked scientifically in stress responses. What difference did a robust spiritual life make to people?
It really depends on the person, but the vast majority of people who we interviewed, former prisoners of war from Vietnam, just a whole host of civilians who had been severely traumatized and were doing well, religion, spirituality, belief in God ended up being very powerful forces for resilience. And for quite a number of individuals who we interviewed, they told us that that was their belief in God was the #1 resilience factor that helped them negotiate adversity. And there are many reasons why religion and spirituality can be so important. And one is having meaning and purpose, something bigger than ourselves. Going to religious services and spiritual services is really important because we connect with others. Social support is critical for negotiating difficult times. And when we go to spiritual religious services, we tend to find the kind of social support that is positive, that is altruistic. We see positive role models. So religion and spirituality can be very important factors in resilience.
I take it that the fact that you've studied this scientifically, you've put these 10 different steps of what were factors that help with bad stress. I take it that you're kind of an advocate of saying, work on this stuff now while you're not in trauma. It's not...
Definitely.
So we should be proactive about developing disciplines in our life. One of them is spiritual. One of them is that sense of optimism. Work on it now?
Absolutely. Preparation is really critical because if you think about it, when I face a difficult situation, the way I respond to it is largely dependent on my appraisal, how I'm appraising the situation. An example I like to give, I walk up to a house that's on fire, I hear someone screaming for help, I am terrified. A policeman or fireman walks up next to me, sees the same fire, hears the same pleas for help, and for that individual, They process this as a challenge. Why? Because they've been trained to deal with these situations. They've had past experiences of success, and this is an opportunity for them to do good, to use their skills. I have not had that training. I've not had those past successes, so my physiologic response and my psychological response is one of fear and threat. The point is that preparation, learning skills to make it through difficult times makes a huge difference.
You put exercise and physical fitness is just as critical as my spiritual care when it comes to facing a crisis. Is that right?
Yes, and we were a bit surprised at this. The psychological and neuroscience literature on exercise is very impressive. One of the things that exercise does is it increases neurotrophic factors in the brain that repair areas or neurons, nerve cells in the brain that have been damaged by stress. And exercise serves a protective role so that when I am traumatized in the future, if I'm in good physical condition, I actually have more adaptive behavioral and emotional responses to that stress.
Dr. Southwick, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now it's time to find out what you think. Do you think your city is constructed to keep you safe from a natural disaster? Send us your answers by phone, email, Facebook, or Twitter. Be part of the conversation, and our studio audience is taking a live vote. We'll have those results in a moment. Coming up, finding God in the midst of devastation. More on that after the break.